Thanks for joining us. In order to support us to produce Clancy's Kitchen, you can donate as little as €5 or $5 a month and gain access to exclusive content. Just go to www.patreon.com/Clancy's Kitchen. That's www.patreon.com/Clancy's Kitchen. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome back to Clancy's Kitchen. Tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. Pull my hair, they stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a belle of Belfast City. She is a courting 1, 2, 3. Please won't you tell me who is she? Albert Mooney says he loves her. All the boys are fighting for her, knocking the door and ringing the bell, saying, oh my true love, are you well? Out she comes as white as snow, rings on her fingers, bells on her toes. Old Johnny Murray says she'll die if she doesn't get the fella with the roving eye. Let the wind and the rain and the hail go high, and the snow come tumbling from the sky. She's as nice as apple pie, she'll get her own lot by and by. When she gets a lad of her own, she won't tell her ma when she comes home. Let them all come as they will, for it's Albert Mooney she loves still. Tell me, ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. Pull my hair and stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a belle of Belfast City. She is a courting 1, 2, 3. Please won't you tell me who is she? Albert Mooney says he loves her. All the boys are fighting for her, knocking the door and ringing the bell, saying, oh my true love, are you well? Out she comes as white as snow, rings on her fingers, bells on her toes. Oh, Johnny Murray says she'll die if she doesn't get the fellow with the roving eye. Let them all come as they will, for it's Albert Mooney she loves still. Woo! Okay, lovely. That, of course, was I'll Tell Me Ma, which was originally a Belfast song, but it was made popular, of course, by the Clancy brothers in about 1962, I think it was.
Is that right? Yeah.
And around that time, my mother would have been listening, or she would have known the Clancy brothers. She would have heard that song on the radio, and she's very familiar with the Clancy brothers. Mm-hmm. So when they came into her parents' pub in Mooney's of Róisín, sometime thereafter, you can imagine the excitement. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, of course, I sadly lost my mother, Moira, recently. Mm-hmm. And so we'd like to do a bit of a tribute to her today.
A tribute to Moira. Yeah. We see her up on the mantelpiece.
There she is there, up behind her.
A beautiful woman that she was.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And great memories, of course.
Yes.
And it's a difficult time for you, Róisín.
It is. She had advanced Alzheimer's, and anybody who has family members with Alzheimer's will understand the difficulties of that. It's almost like, in some ways, we lost her twice because somebody fades away very gradually. It's almost like they become a ghost. What was amazing with Moira was that music, singing, right up until just about the very end, the only thing that would get a smile from her is when she heard music and singing. And she used to sing, as you remember as well. We'd go and see her in the care home. Yeah. And she knew, right up until quite recently, the words of Bando Valana was a song she used to sing, because, of course, she grew up here in the Gaeltacht of Róisín.
And it's quite common, I think, that people who suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's have an old memory. It happened with me, actually, with my own grandmother. I think in her last few years, she hadn't uttered a word. Yeah. And my father back in Wales took the male voice choir down to the old folks' home to sing to them. And of course, they were singing some hymn, all male voices. And in the middle of it, they could hear a female voice. And everyone stopped and looked around. There's no women here in the choir. And of course, it was my grandmother.
Thelma,
who hadn't spoken for 2 years. Wow. But she heard a hymn
Yeah.
And she immediately had that recall and started singing the words.
Wow.
And I remember going to see her mother in Carrick, in the home there. And you could see the reaction once singing started. She immediately brightened up,
Yeah.
and you could see something in her eyes, in her soul,
Yeah.
that she still reacted to music and the words.
Absolutely. I think there's been a whole study done on that, actually, how music it's something almost primitive to us, you know, the response to music.
Yeah.
But she, of course, would have grown up surrounded by music her whole life. You know, sean-nós and traditional Irish music and folk music. And she was a great supporter of the arts, music, drama, the arts in general.
Well, we think of Carrick and the Clancys, of course, as being the home of, you know, the onset of popularisation of folk music and around the world, especially in America. But in truth, Carrick has always been a hub of culture, from music to traditional music to drama, you know, storytelling, and still is today.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And for her, I mean, it's interesting because she went to boarding school in Carrick-on-Shore, and she actually, once she'd finished there, she never, in truth, she said at the time, she enjoyed boarding school and she enjoyed Carrick, but at that time in Carrick, the tannery industry was there, and apparently, you know, it didn't smell the prettiest back in the day.
A big employer in the town, though.
Yeah, massive employer in the town. Of course, years later, they cleaned that up. But for that reason, she said, I could never imagine myself going back and living in Carrick. And then, of course, once she married my father, she ended up living in Carrick the rest of her life and loved living in Carrick and was very active member of the community there.
Yeah. But you know what was very touching in her, as they say, the removal here? The wake, I suppose, traditionally, where everyone lines up on the street coming into the funeral home in Carrick. Because I'd always seen Moira, for the most part, in Carrick. I was expecting to see Carrick faces. But what really touched me, not only seeing them, but seeing the hordes of ring people, Anrain, the Gaeltach, just filing in.
Yeah.
And someone told me that day, actually, ring people never forget their own.
Oh,
and
really?
it was quite touching.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah,
get started now.
I was amazed by that as well, actually. So many turned up from Ring. And I suppose there is an association with the Clancys coming and being in, and her meeting my father, you know. They met back in, so as I say, she was raised here, and she'd gone off, actually, boarding school in Carrick, and then when she finished school, she went off to do a secretarial course in Eccles Street, which in the early 60s was still kind of a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Even to do your leaving cert then was kind of a big deal. And she travelled a bit. She'd been to London, she'd been to Paris. And you know what's interesting is that even though my mother was young at that time, she was only in her early 20s, and she came back, I think, to help out her parents with the pub. But she had a teaching job in a primary school close by to Ring. And just earlier today, in fact, a woman, Rita Costin is her name, she called in with a mass card, and she said, you know, I remember your mother teaching me. And she said, what I remember most was that she gave me so much confidence.
That's amazing,
isn't it? Yeah, considering she was very young herself.
Do you know, that reminds me, someone said something similar to me years ago. It was a father of an ex-girlfriend, actually. But I remember we were driving in the car, and he said something, if you can give your children anything, give them confidence. Isn't that a great tribute to your mother, really?
Yeah.
A compliment, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember that actually rings a bell for me, because when your mother passed, my mother was actually overstaying. And one of the things she told me immediately afterwards was, I'll never forget how much Moira made us feel at home, and her welcome and her laughter. And she'd take them off, my father and mother, to places like Innishteig and the beautiful places in and around Carrick and the environs. And, you know, things like that stay with people.
Yeah.
And, great
compliment.
compliment.
She loved it. Well, of course, coming from a family where, you know, grown up in a pub and having people call in all the time, but they were very open, obviously, and very welcome. You know, I remember actually her saying that when my father and Liam called into Mooney's, and as I said at the beginning, they were quite well known then, and she wasn't there the first night. She was off somewhere at a dance or something, and they told her her sister Anne told her when she arrived home, "You missed it. The Clancy brothers were here." And she was like, "No," but sure enough, they called back. I think the following evening, and you know.
But it's like a switch, isn't it, when someone goes? And the same thing happened when my father passed. It's like immediately you start to remember things. Memories just come flowing back, don't they?
Yeah, totally.
You know, and when I first came over and I met you, you know, in 1996, coming to Carrick and William Street for the first time, and your father there getting me to play in the session immediately.
Yeah.
That was the pattern. I'd come over on the ferry on a Friday night, all excited, and come into William Street, and then a session at Bolognese first, then a session out in one of the country pubs. But here's the thing, the Saturday mornings belonged to your mother. She'd make the best fry ever, and then she'd be talking about politics, any books she'd read or a film. She's so cultured. And I'd sit with her for hours.
Yeah.
And you know, when we often speak about your father, and I speak about my father, but the mothers, you know, so strong in our families too.
I remember that, the two of you debating away. And what's interesting, there's a similarity, we've often spoken about this, between your family, particularly our grandfathers. So my mother's father, Dennis Mooney, loved to debate politics, religion, history. I remember even as a child, you know, he'd open the paper, read that. Do you know what's going on in the world? You know, and my mother, I think, picked that up from him. And you said the same about your grandfather. He'd always had visitors in, and they were always debating politics. And
the front door in the Velin, the mill house where my grandparents lived, was always open, and there was a dog sitting as if it was on guard, you know, in the doorway. And there were always people. And I remember this small sofa, and there'd be a couple there or something, talking, discussing politics or the Bible. The two things went together.
Yes.
And civil rights, hand in hand.
Oh,
you know, what was wrong with the world, what we needed to do to help people or whatever. That was the household, you know. Yeah, God, very similar.
It seems like, you know, it's like people had more time then, or that those things had more importance or something. We're all so busy now today. You know, when you look back at that, our household as well, there was always people calling in, always visitors, you know.
Well, we had the village shop back in Wales, and there was an old chair by the freezer, specifically for people to sit down and have a chat.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
When we go to a supermarket now, we're going, oh, how quick can we get through the till and go home? Yeah. But people would sit there for ages.
Well, that's another similarity, because my grandmother, Tessie, had a shop. She was did the shop and the pub. Yeah. You know, she was...
We had the shop and the post office.
Ah, well,
we didn't have a pub.
Yeah. But she was a great businesswoman and a strong woman. And the pub, I think we've said this before, it came down through something like 6 generations of women. Yeah. It was all the women. Yeah. So my grandfather, you know, would spend time chatting to people and debating and discussing. My grandmother was keeping the business going.
She was the businesswoman.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the excitement then, you can imagine, when my mother married Bobby Clancy, you know. Yeah. It actually made that, because it was the church, same church we were married in, up the hill here in Ring. Yeah. And it's legendary, you know, their wedding day. Apparently when they came out of the church, the boys, the Clancy brothers, were all there, and they held the guitars and banjos over them as they came out. And as they were walking down the hill to it would have been the old Thatch pub at the time. Yeah. They were singing Mary's Wedding all the way down the hill.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a picture of it here, actually.
Yeah. Somewhere. Someone's actually said, you know, they felt an era coming to an end because Bobby and Moira have gone now. And I always think of it.
You ever seen that?
Oh, that's fantastic, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It made the headlines, didn't it?
Yeah, got into the Irish Independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always saw it as, it's like a marriage.
Sorry, folk singer weds in Waterford. No mention of the of her. It was all about the folk
Times have
singer.
changed, yeah. But, I think of it, obviously, a conventional marriage, people who love each other. But there was a marriage of cultures as well, you see. The marriage of the Clancys coming here to Ring.
Yeah.
And your mother going to Carrick.
Yes.
And then embracing the culture of Carrick and diving into it, really.
Yeah, totally.
Obviously with the brewery theatre, especially.
Yeah. Can I say one other thing about their wedding, when I think of it? Because they went to... my aunt Caught, my father's sister, God rest her, and her husband, Sean O'Connell, that's my cousin Robbie O'Connell's parents. So they had a hotel, Mount Richard, outside Carrick. So they got married in Ring, but the reception was in Carrick. And the Dubliners were there, the Furies were there. Apparently the session was just mighty. And my father always regretted, that in those days, once you got married... And you had the wedding, I think they called it the wedding breakfast even, didn't they?
Yeah, they had to leave.
Thereafter, you had to leave. You had to go off on your honeymoon. He was like, but we're missing a great session.
This is the best time.
He heard about it years later. That was such a night.
Yeah, and something similar happened to us. Remember?
Yes.
The next day in Mooney's was absolutely, we were married in Ring.
Yeah.
At the reception in Gavin, but the afters, as they call it, in the small side in Mooney's, was just sublime.
Yeah,
because you had the Irish and the Welsh.
Yeah, you had choirs in one corner, you had
incredible.
Liam and my father in another. Yeah.
And we were supposed to leave earlier. Do you remember, to go to Dublin to get the flight the next day? But it was my best man, Gwion Hugh, actually did a whip round.
Yeah.
And collected enough money from everyone so we could have a taxi later to Dublin.
That's right.
And down on the cross here in Ring, everyone was outside with instruments and bowrons.
Yes.
And I remember just welling up, leaving. It was a special day.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
And it all comes back, doesn't it?
I know.
Once you start to talk about someone who's gone, and because they've carried so much and made so much in their life.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you mentioned there, Rayland, about Moira being involved in drama in Carrick and the Brewery Lane and all that. Actually, it wasn't when she started in Carrick, which was probably the late 60s, early 70s. The Brewery Lane hadn't been established yet. It was in the old Green School there. They used to do the plays, but the drama group in Carrick had been going, I think, since the 1950s. Liam Clancy was a founding member of the drama group.
Wasn't the first play the Playboy?
I think it was, yeah.
John Milton's thing.
Yeah. But she was really involved in that. She had done loads and loads of plays. I mean, probably over 40 years or so as a member. They brought out a book there a while ago, because then they bought a premises, the Brewery Lane, which we do the Clancy show from the festival every year.
And to anyone watching or listening, it's well worth coming to the Clancy Brothers Festival every year, because it's a bespoke little festival with beautiful things going on in the theatre and around.
It's gorgeous.
So was this book published on the anniversary, was it?
It was, something like that, yeah. And there was a picture, I was looking through it earlier, of my mother back in, there's one of Liam as the founding member, I think, came back. But there was one of a play that she won an award for in the All-Ireland. It was called The Honey Spike. There she is there.
Oh, yeah. What a great picture.
With Tom Nealon, God rest him. He's passed away recently as well.
Yes.
And The Honey Spike was a play written by Brian McMahon. And it was actually about the travelling people in Ireland, which were and probably still are very, very misunderstood. And it was written in 1961, I believe. And at that time in Ireland, there wasn't an understanding really for the travelling community at all. They were very much on the margins of society. And I think even the government at that point was trying to get them to be settled community, and very little understanding for their nomadic ways of life. So this book, The Honey Spike, by Brian McMahon, the whole story is about a travelling couple. So there's Martin and my mother play the role of Breda Claffey. And the honey spike is where she wanted to go to give birth to her child. And again, in the travelling community culture, very strong beliefs and customs and traditions around giving birth to your child in a certain place.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely story because it sort of deals with how it was changing, and the travelling community was changing a little bit at that time. And some of them were brought in by the government suggestion that they should be settled. And I guess this is all about their journey to Kerry, to the honey spike where she wanted to give birth. But there's also the personal journey that they are going through, because her husband, Martin Claffey, was of a mind that maybe they should be settled.
Interesting theme,
isn't it?
It really is.
And she wasn't for this at all.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful piece, I might read it out.
So it's like, a play about modernity versus tradition. And the honey spike being the symbol of the things that are important to maintain in Breda's character.
Yeah. And I guess the journey there was arduous, and there was storms and everything, but I guess it's symbolic as well of the journey they were going through at that point as travelling people.
Maybe I'll put some music.
Would you actually maybe ar Éireann ní nósan Cahí?
Yeah, I think she liked that.
Yeah,
didn't
she loved that.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother, Moira, playing the role of Breda Claffey, and they're on their way to the honey spike where she explains here the importance of this to her and what it means to her to give birth in this place. I'll not let this child be born in a cold hospital under the white lights with strangers staring. No, my child will be born at the honey spike, the way my mother was and her mother before her, among my own, on the land, on the road, in the place where the sky bends close and the stars know our names. They call us tinkers, but we have fire in our veins. We have stories older than stone. And this child will have a name rooted in the ground of Kerry, where I'll birth him with pride and pain. I've come too far to turn back now. Let the rivers rise and the winds howl. We go on. Lovely.
To Moira.
Yes, to Moira. I remember actually when that opened, and I was only a small child, and Finbar was with me, and he got upset because he thought Mammy had actually died, in the play. And I remember my father opened with that song, I'm a freeborn man of the travelling people, which think he recorded. I know the Clancy brothers recorded it.
And I think Liam did too.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
And there's a famous clip actually on YouTube. Maybe I could find it. Of Liam reciting Pegasus.
Patrick Kavanagh.
By Patrick Kavanagh, followed by the Freeborn.
Yes.
Man of the Travelling People.
Yeah.
It's sublime, actually.
There's some lovely lines in it. Time is not my master, for time is not my master. And curse the time when winter days were dawning.
Yeah.
Do you know, it really portrays kind of the beauty of the life and also the difficulties of the life.
Indeed.
Yeah. How lucky are we? You know, I'm just thinking that all of this was passed down to us. You know, that we take it for granted sometimes. You know, you were brought up in a household as well where there was always not just music, but the love of storytelling and drama and all of that.
We speak about it a lot on this podcast. And it's the art of, I suppose today, if you talk about the art of storytelling, you have practitioners who, you know, maybe study it and come out with their craft and do shows on storytelling. And this is how it is to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, the best stories are told by the normal people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in our home, we'd have very close friends, Emyr Llew and Iris, and they'd always come down and the cup of tea was offered, always rejected at first. No, we're not staying for a cup of tea. 4 or 5 cups of tea later, it's midnight. And then Emyr would turn to Dad and say, tell us the one about... And you'd heard the story maybe countless times.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always about hearing the story for the first time. That wasn't the point. It was, this is a great story, gather round, listen to it again, and this person tells the story well. Yeah. That was the point, you know.
Funny you say there about having the cup of tea. There was an expression my father used to say a lot, have a quick one out of your hand. And again, as a child, I remember thinking, wouldn't that burn your hand, having a cup of tea out of your hand? But you're absolutely right. You know, people would call in and they would just talk. Like, just the talk was storytelling in itself.
Of course it was.
And as
an
you
art
say,
to it.
like, you might have heard it, 100 times before, but it was the gathering and the listening to something that was just...
and it showed that people lived their life fully. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to talk about other people who had lived their lives fully. And the funny things that had gone on and the memorable nights, etc. This has just reminded me. We might have mentioned this before. Could you tell a story of one of your best friend's mother's reaction to your father passing away? That was Libby's mother.
Oh, yes. She said, Bobby Clancy dead. God, it doesn't suit him at all. Sure it doesn't.
I think that's one of the best quotes about loss or losing someone and grief in a way.
Death doesn't suit him because he was so alive.
Alive and lived life, and your mother did. You know, when you walked into William Street, when I did, there was life everywhere. There was a bolognese on, there was a glass of wine, there was an instrument. Someone was calling in Harry Doherty or Seamus McGrath, or all these characters.
Yeah, or all my mother's friends as well, Mary O'Hanlon.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheila. And Doherty, Sheila Murphy.
All of these people.
Roseanne Glasgow. Yeah, I mean, there was always people calling in. Eileen Butler, of course.
It doesn't suit him at all.
No.
And it doesn't suit your mother at all. And unfortunately, her illness didn't suit her at all.
No, it really didn't.
Because she was a zestful personality and
she
loved
actually had an amazing memory for... like we've talked about this before, because I'm quite good at learning off, and it's nothing to do with. I'm not saying I'm more intelligent than you because I can learn lines off. It's nothing to do with intelligence.
Where you going
because
with
you
this?
were saying, because you often say you find it harder to learn lines, but you retain it for longer than I do.
I have a peculiar recall.
Yeah,
I need to study a script, for instance. But unfortunately, or fortunately, once it's in, it stays there for years.
And I'm the opposite. I can learn it short term, but then it's gone. And I think my mother was the same way. Like the amount of plays, loads and loads of plays that she did, and so many lines and monologues and soliloquies that she'd learned off. you know, and then to have Alzheimer's and, you know, you're married. It's incredible, really, isn't it?
It's awful.
She loved poetry as well. And you recited a nice piece, actually at her funeral, was a Padraig Pearse poem.
Yeah.
And I remember often here in Ring looking over as the sun's going down, lit by a slanting sun. And she would often say that, looking out, look at that, lit by a slanting sun.
Yeah.
Which was a piece from a poem by Padraig Pearse.
The Wayfarer.
The Wayfarer, that was it.
And you talk about the vista here, looking over Dungarvan Bay and the Cumra Mountains, always reminds me of The Cloths of Heaven by W.B. Yeats. I think she loved that one too.
She did. You recited that at our wedding. Do you still remember it?
I do. Will I do a little song afterwards?
Do, lovely.
I was thinking, you know, we started off with Tell Me Ma, because it's apt. We're talking about your mother. But your mother she was famous for having really dark hair.
She did.
When she was young. And, you know, and
beautiful long dark hair.
And probably matched by your sister Aideen today.
Yes.
And I think I sang this many times in William Street. It's an old song made famous by probably Christy Moore is one, but even people like Nina Simone have done jazz versions of it, and it's called Black is the Colour. I think it's originally a Scottish song, but travelled over to the Appalachian regions of America in the early 19th century, I think, in the early 1800s.
Oh, wow.
So
she loved that. Do the poem first, though.
Okay,
and then,
Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night, the light and the half-light, I would spread them under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread upon my dreams. Black is the colour of my true love's hair. Her lips are like some roses fair. She's the sweetest smile and the gentlest hands. I love the ground whereon she stands. I love my love, and well she knows. I love the ground whereon she goes. I wish the day it soon would come when she and I could be as one. I go to the Clyde and I mourn and weep, for satisfied I ne'er can be. I write her a letter, just a few short lines, and suffer death 1,000 times. For black is the colour of my true love's hair. Her lips are like some roses fair. She's the sweetest smile and the gentlest hands. I love the ground whereon she stands. I love the ground whereon she stands. Diolch, thanks.
Ah, that was lovely. Do you know that poem, He Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven? Yeats wrote that for Maud Gonne. It was kind of a tale of unrequited love because he was really mad about her and she'd no interest in him.
Very sad, isn't it?
It is kind of, I mean, she admired him. She admired his
After writing a poem like that?
yeah.
It's so beautiful.
No, she
His
agrees
lyrical
on-
poet
Yeah, but you see-
poems are so impactful.
Yeah, but she was a revolutionary. She was a rebel, and she was actually English, but she gave her life to the cause of Irish independence, actually. And she was married to John McBride, who was part of the 1916 Rising. And I think she found Yeats, although he was very much for an Irish cultural revolution, if you like, and revival, and he was very much behind that, and he admired, you know, the men who fought, men and women who fought for the freedom of Ireland, and you know, those who took part in the 1916 riot. Wrote a poem about it, Easter 1916. But he was more about the mystical kind of mythological folklore side of Ireland.
I think we all have that love of the magic of Ireland.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you said she was a strong woman.
She was a strong woman, and
And
also
in your family, you have
Yes.
famously
Yes.
strong women.
Yeah,
You know, your mother, I always remember, she was so generous and full of fun, and, as I said, would be hospitable to my parents. And, but she had a strong side to her as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
And they were, her family were very much, of course, for way back in throughout history, you know, for an independent Ireland and fought for that. You know.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. But Maud Gonne, I think he was too dreamy for her. Like she, you know, was like, that's all very well, but get up and fight for your country, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah. You know, she was from Andrain the Gaeltacht here, and
I thought you were talking about Maud Gonne still.
No, your mother, and of course her family from Shamphobble, Old Parish, and that remained close to her heart in the Irish language.
Yeah.
All her life, didn't it?
It did. I mean, look, she'd the best of both worlds, you know. My parents had really and us growing up because, you know, throughout the year, we'd spend winters in Carrick, and then every summer we'd come back here to where my mother was from on Ryan. Of course, all the cousins would come back from the States,
helpful,
and you know, and she was, of course, an Irish speaker and very proud of the Irish language and the heritage there that came with it. And the summers were spent out in my father the boat as well, and we'd go out in the boat and catching mackerel and stuff. So actually, we might do an Irish song that was passed on to me by my Aunt Breed, and my cousin Breffney actually sings this one always at family parties.
It'd be nice to end on an Irish song.
Yeah, on an
wouldn't
Irish
it?
song.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what is it?
Farawata.
Farawata.
Farawata. Give it a go.
I think we have it in A minor, probably.
A minor, yeah.
2, 2, 3.
Farawata, Snowrawela, Farawata, Snowrawela, Farawata, Snowrawela. Slowla ga koita daidu koik me susar am And I to Moira is moon of I to Marua me Barroata snow To Moira Mooney Clancy, Gamera Mishbior, Naumsha Rish. Gurvmila Mahagwiv, thank you again for joining us in Clancy's Kitchen. Please remember to like and subscribe so we can continue making more podcasts. Slán go fóill.